we have some Wildcat fans out there. Thanks so much to Steve Bettleman for kicking off our Friday program. Welcome back to Keeneland at Home. I'm your host, Christina Blacker. We only have 2 days left of the meet. It's kind of heartbreaking how fast it's gone by. Today and tomorrow, where we close it out. But fortunately, we still have the Breeders' Cup to look forward to. 2 weeks until the Breeders' Cup Championships on November the 6th and 7th. We'll have much more on the Breeders' Cup races coming up later on in the show. International racing expert Nick Luck is going to join me. You'll definitely want to have your pen and paper handy to jot down a few of these names. Be sure to use the hashtag if you are watching us as well, hashtag Keeneland at Home. Let your friends know that you are interested in racing, watching this program, and just getting dialed in to what is to come on this Friday card. Let's take a look, in fact, at what's coming up this afternoon. So we have 10 races today, a couple really nice maiden special weights as well. Race 6 is one that I think is going to be very intriguing. A few allowance races also. Ellis Star will join me a little bit later on in the program. And of course, he's going to give you some of those prices to look forward to today. Today is College Scholarship Day. This is normally one of my most favorite days at the meet. After each and every race, we hand out a $1,000 scholarship to someone who is there on track. And I'll tell you, the Keeneland College fans, they flood the racetrack each and every day, but especially on College Scholarship Day. So we're going to have to bring it to you in a virtual way this year, of course. And joining me today to talk about that and to tell you how you can apply is Molly, one of the Keeneland College ambassadors. Molly, thanks so much for taking some time to join me on Keeneland at Home.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Can you just tell me a little bit about your role? What does it mean to be a Keeneland College ambassador?
So the biggest thing that I do is I promote Keeneland and horse racing on my campus, and I also help plan and organize and execute College Scholarship Day every semester. This year it's taking place virtually, which is so exciting that they were able to still give us the opportunity to have one of the best days of the year. And there are over 40 Keeneland College ambassadors for Keeneland and all across the state on different campuses. And it's so exciting for us to have the opportunity to really promote Keeneland and promote all of our love for horse racing.
I didn't know you had so many co-ambassadors out there. That's awesome to hear that there's so many people spreading the great word about horse racing, about Keeneland. So tell me, Molly, as we said, this has to be different this year. It's virtual. What does Scholarship Day at home look like?
Yeah, so this is such a popular event every year at Keeneland, and I know for me it's one of my absolute favorite events each race meet. And this year we're meeting virtually, like we said, but that doesn't stop us from having it this year. There's still going to be $30,000 awarded in scholarships, which is just crazy. And then we're also going to be including 2 $5,000 scholarships this year, as well as over 35 prizes from really awesome sponsors such as Kinder Scott and Jeff Ruby's, which I'm really trying to get the Jeff Ruby's gift cards this year. Fingers crossed that I win this year, but I'm super excited and hope that everyone that wins gets really excited too.
They've been having those Keeneland watch parties at Jeff Ruby's also, so that would be very useful, as you say, fingers crossed. So if somebody's at home, a college student, whether they're there in Kentucky or anywhere across the country, how does a college student get in on the fun today?
So the first thing they need to do is they need to register online at keeneland.com/CSD, and it'll take you straight to the registration. It's super quick and easy, and you just have to do it, I believe, by 6 o'clock tonight. And go ahead and take the opportunity to enjoy the race day at home. Wear some of your favorite Keeneland wear and make some fun snacks with your friends. Try to keep it under 10 so we stay in with CDC guidelines. But you can live stream the races on Keeneland's YouTube channel or your smart TV, or you can watch on TVG.
Molly, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time, and I hope that I get to meet you at the track very soon when it's safe for us all to be back there again.
Yes, thank you so much, Christina.
In front by 3, Dressed in Hermes goes second by 5. Kemrick tries to get going, still third. Everyone else with work to do. Manhattan Dan tries to take it all the way and leads it by 3.5 lengths. Dressed in Hermes makes a final try toward the outside. Birchwood is running late from far back with Aero Force. Hit it, a bomb is coming late. Birchwood, Aero Force, hit it, a bomb in the colors of Evie Stockwell, rallies to take it for Ryan Moore.
How good was Hit It a Bomb? That was the stretch coming home in the juvenile turf back at Keeneland in 2015. But you think back, he broke from post 14. He was last early and had pretty much the entire field to pass. It was quite a performance, and he is already off to a successful start at stud as well. So we have to pay attention to the Euros in the Breeders' Cup, and joining me today to dial us into the horses that are traveling overseas is international racing expert, Breeders' Cup and NBC contributor Nick Luck. Nick, thank you so much for staying up late there back home to join me. And I understand you are actually going to be able to make the trip to Keeneland. Is that correct?
Well, until my feet touch American soil, I'm not quite going to believe it. But yes, happily, I've been granted special dispensation to be at Keeneland next week, for which I'm extremely grateful to Breeders' Cup and to US Immigration for making that possible. And it's the first time I'll have been on an aeroplane of any description since the Saudi Cup back in February. So very happy to be there and looking forward to seeing you all.
Well, we wish you a very safe journey. We can't wait to have you, as I mentioned. Nick, I want to focus on the positive because we did have a few horses last week announced that would not make it to the Breeders' Cup. But just in general, how difficult or easy do you think it's going to be for the international horses and horsemen to get to Kentucky this year?
I think the Breeders' Cup are making it as straightforward as possible. I don't think the horses, there'll be too much difference because we're so used to all the biosecurity measures that horses have to go through anyway. And there will be special exemptions made for grooms and those traveling flying grooms that come with them. So I think from their point of view, everything will be as normal. Obviously, the backstretch area is going to be that little bit more stringently controlled, but we're quite used to that with the international horses, with the quarantine barn and so on. So I don't think from an international perspective for the horses, they'll be that much different. Obviously, for the people, they're essentially going to have to be treated like the horses and be tested and swabbed and go through all the biosecurity measures. But I'd say there'll be a few of us there anyway.
Well, we can't wait to have everybody touch down, as you mentioned. Okay, so let's go kind of division by division with a couple of the key contenders. I want to start first in the mile, Nick. Safe Voyage coming over third in the Prix de la Forêt, a multiple winner this year. Kamiko, this will be the last start of his career. What are you expecting from those two in the mile?
I'm expecting Kamiko to be nearly favourite because he's got some very strong credentials. He's a 3-year-old. He was the 2000 Guineas winner. He's had a slightly luckless season since then. Connections have campaigned him very boldly, ambitiously over a variety of different distances. But a strongly run mile, looks his bag. What doesn't look his bag is very soft ground. If there was tons of rain, I'd be worried for Kamiko's chances. But this will be his final roll of the dice. It'll be his last hurrah before he heads off to stud at Tween Hills here in England next year. So I'd expect him to run well if the ground was on top. Safe Voyage, by contrast, is completely different type of horse. He's a 7-year-old, but he's never been better than he is now. He's never won a Grade 1 race, but he's been competitive in plenty of them. He's a dual Group 2 winner this year. He beat One Master very easily in the City of York. He's got an excellent record going left-handed round the bend, and as much rain as possible for him. He can't have it soft enough.
I'll tell you what, over the years, sometimes it's that second or third choice European horse that does actually jump up with the win. So we can't be forgotten about. And I know for the connections of Kamiko, where it all started there at the Keeneland sales. So looking forward to having him kind of back to the beginning of his journey. How about the turf? Going a little farther, Mogul for Aidan O'Brien. This is a horse that he said takes a little while to tune up. Are we getting to the point where fitness-wise, he is really ready to fire one of his best races?
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? I mean, he's been going that long, and he started off this season in the Derby started off at Royal Ascot as a prep run for the Derby, and he actually looked quite big and burly. I mean, almost fat before those races. Aidan said it took so much graft to get the condition off him, and he finally put it all together in the Grand Prix de Paris last time. Now, the form of that race took a few notable boosts in the Arc itself, and of course, Aidan couldn't run Mogul in the Arc because he had to withdraw all his horses from that whole weekend because of the feet contamination, and that's an issue now that's affected an awful lot of trainers. Aidan just caught it badly at the wrong time. Might be a blessing in disguise to not be pulled through that hop deep mud Longchamp on Art weekend. He'd turn up at Keeneland a relatively fresh horse, and it's not a particularly strong edition of this race, I don't think. And again, I don't think he wants the ground too soft, but I think he's a player, Mogul, for sure.
I want to pick up on one of your points there and talk about Adaria in the filly and mare turf. She also ran at Longchamp over those conditions. Just in general, Nick, are you going to use those horses, throw them out, have to have a look at them on track to see if they've recovered from competing over a ground that was that soft?
I think you just have to take it on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, some of them had harder races than others, but it was very, very testing at Longchamp, as it was on Champions Day the other day. You look at a horse like Lord North in the turf. He's pointing towards that race having run just just last Saturday, so he hasn't had the extra 2 weeks. But yeah, I'll certainly be treating the horses that ran at Longchamp on our weekend with just a degree of caution. It really was wretched ground. Daria is an interesting runner in the filly and mare turf. She's the first ever Breeders' Cup runner for trainer James Fanshawe, who, he's not particularly old, James, but he's been training forever. He's been training, I think, since 1990, 91. And he had a Group 1 winner in his first season with Environment Friend. And he hasn't had a runner. It's amazing. He has won any amount of races around the world. So it's great to see him there. She's a player, I think. She's a player. She's fast improving. She's got genuine Group 1 form. I know I was talking to Jerry Bailey the other day. He'd been doing the numbers and said they stacked up pretty well. So I'm looking forward to seeing her.
Speaking of numbers, Fev Roper, juvenile filly turf competitor, she is rated pretty highly. I think she's going to take a lot of money in this particular event. What can you tell us about her?
She ran badly in France, but she didn't get the rub of the green. It was desperate ground, and she got bumped and bolts and knocked around all over the place. But prior to that, she'd been really progressive. I'm unconvinced that she's an out-and-out stayer at this distance. That's my only slight worry. She's quite a fast filly. She's got a bit of speed. Whether she fully gets this sort of distance, I'm not convinced. But she's been a wonderful story for Nick Bradley Racing, a syndicate ownership. Nick Bradley's an absolute genius. He's bought, I think, 4 fillies for under 40 grand this year. I don't think any of them cost more than 40. Like, one of them cost 10, 12. This one wasn't expensive at all, and they've all got black type. They've all become stakes fillies. He's an absolute mastermind, and he's obviously giving a lot of smaller owners a big chance of a day in the sun. So I think she's interesting, but as I say, I've had my slight worries about her at this distance.
Sounds like a little Kenny McPeak, Keith DeSormo type at the sales there to relate it to an American trainer. So looking forward to seeing what we have from her. And of course, if the ground is nice and firm, that should help her carry the distance a little bit. Ralph Beckett has 2 in the juvenile turf, Nick. 1 in New Mandate that was a win in You're In challenge winner, and then also Devawala. Of the 2, do you prefer one over the other?
Yeah, New Mandate. I think he's the likeliest European winner at the Breeders' Cup. As you said, Europeans got a good record in this race. He's already gelded because apparently he was a bit of a boyo back in January, February, and he was by an unproven stallion, New Bay. Well, New Bay, his first season at start, has been sensational. Has had a ton of winners and stakes winners already. And so it was probably a pretty expensive gelding operation, but Ray said he was completely uncontrollable, so they had to do it. It makes his options next year very limited. So their hand is forced really to run him in this race, because you can't run a gelding in a Group 1 race at a mile or above in Europe next year until July, end of July, beginning of August.
Okay.
So his options are going to be quite limited at the top level unless they try and turn him into a sprinter. So they've kind of got to run him. He's won the win in You're In, and he won it very impressively as well. He's got a very sharp turn of foot. Frankie Dettori recommended the purchase because he'd ridden him and recommended him to Mark Chan, the owner. And I know they paid a lot of money for him, but he looks worth every penny. And I think he's going to get it all back in this race. I honestly think he's just the right type of horse for. He switches off well enough now. He was a bit keen earlier in his races, but there's a strong enough pace on it. He can just ride him chilly. I think his turn of foot will be absolutely lethal. Again, provided it doesn't get too soft.
All right, I'm going to hold on to that one for sure. Lastly, in that race, Battleground, the first son of Found, she a Breeders' Cup winner in her 3-year-old season. It'd be quite the story, right, to bring it all back to Keeneland if he were able to run well and to get the victory?
I assume he's going to be favourite as well. Warfront, out of Found, Aidan O'Brien, great record in the race. You know the rest. The only issue with him for me, he's quite a big, heavy horse, and I just wonder whether the track's going to be ideal for him. I just wonder whether a North American track and the way the race is run is going to be perfect. There's no doubt he's the class act. He really adds a dash of quality to this. There's little, but he's going to be no price. So I probably not going to be a betting medium for me. But he's a smart horse, and he handled Goodwood okay, which isn't the easiest track to handle, and he won quite impressively. But you can pick holes in the bare form of what he's achieved so far. You can pick holes in his Goodwood win and his win in the my brain's gone, the Cheshire at Royal Ascot, which was a really thin running of it this year. But yeah, he's an exciting horse. He's got great physique, and it's great that he's coming.
When you're just making me think about the physicality of a lot of these horses, Nick, and I think in general we see kind of a more angular, lighter framed horse coming from Europe. But is that really the type that you want in America, a more nimble type of horse rather than kind of the bigger, stronger, heavier ones? Do they really struggle to adapt to American racing?
Well, Christine, I think you'd be able to answer that question better than me because you're at much more close quarters with a lot of horses that are locally sourced and a lot of horses that have come from Europe who do adapt. But I always think that if you're looking at the ideal type of horse for a North American turf track, I always think of Goldacova and that slightly neater, slightly more handy model that switches off well, relaxes well, settles well, breathes well, and has a really good turn of foot. And you don't often see the really big, heavy horses coming, making the transition because the ground's normally a bit too quick for them, and they don't rail quite as well.
Yeah. Well, it is great to see you, to hear your voice, and I can't wait to see you from a socially distanced, safe distance, of course, at Keeneland. Nick, safe travels, and we'll see you in Kentucky in a few short weeks.
Christina, thanks so much.
Nick Luck from the Breeders' Cup NBC, international racing expert, giving you all the information that you need to know for the international runners at this year's Breeders' Cup. Something tells me that my guest prior is going to like our cocktail of the day. Nick Luck seems like a classic kind of guy. We're going into a classic type of cocktail this afternoon, the Old Fashioned. Once again, our friends at Buffalo Trace have crafted a wonderful cocktail for you to enjoy on this Friday as you kick off your weekend. And Mike from Goodfellas Pizzeria in Lexington is here again to teach us how to make an Old Fashioned with Buffalo Trace.
Hi, my name is Mike Abbott. I'm here at Goodfellas Pizzeria in the Distillery District of Lexington, Kentucky. And today we're going to make an Old Fashioned. I simplify things. I don't necessarily go straight to the sugar cube. I've got some simple syrup here, which is just a 1-to-1 mixture of water and white sugar. Let's give that just a little bit of a splash, no more than about 1/4 ounce. And then we're going to hit it with 2 dashes of aromatic bitters. And then 2 whole ounces of Buffalo Trace bourbon. And then most of your flavor from a good old fashioned comes from a good old orange peel. But for us, we'll turn it up just a little bit, sweat the peel, get those essential oils out, and then we're gonna torch that over the bourbon. Simply add ice. Give it a little bit of a stir. Unlike your Manhattan or traditional cocktail, we're not going to go a full 15 seconds because we don't want to water that down too much. We'll garnish it with that same orange peel and a nice cocktail brandied cherry. Cheers.
Cheers, Mike. Thanks so much for the help as per usual. Something tells me my handicapping partner, Ellis Star, might enjoy an Old Fashioned here and there, especially if we pick some winners. Ellis, welcome back to the show as we are into the last couple days of racing. The weather earlier this week has affected the card a little bit, but I know you found some prices for us once more.
Yeah, I did. And hopefully we'll get lucky. We had a good Sunday, that Forever Noah horse paid $12. And then even though the top pick didn't win in the other race, Benelux, we had In Love at 9 over Falkirk. So 2 nice exactas. They paid $17 and $30. I'm hoping just to get one on the card, but we've already accounted for the off-turf races, saving the course for Breeders' Cup, and looking forward to a great day, the penultimate day at Keeneland.
Speaking of those off-the-turf races, let's start in race number 4 today. Ellis, Alliance Company non-winners of 2, mile on the 16th, now on the main. We do have a lot of scratches in here, but I think there's quite a few horses that I want to hear your opinion on. Can we start with the 6, Fast and Fine Worker? CR Trout trains this filly. She won by 18 lengths last time out. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, you are. It was dominant. I watched the replay. It was just unbelievable speed that she showed. It's interesting in these kinds of races, and she was 12-1 in the morning line with all the scratches. You won't get that, but you still get a price. When you look at races and handicap, sometimes you need to also think what the public's going to do, and the morning line kind of tells you, but if you don't have it, you have an idea. And horses shipping in from other states sometimes get a little disregarded, and she might do that. And I remember CR Trout because he had a really good horse called Shotgun Cowboy, another one called Shotgun Gulch. One of them won in an upset in the Madison Stakes in 2011. and they both earned a lot of money. This was a dominant win around 2 turns on dirt, and now this race is on dirt. That race is repeatable.
Seems like it's all coming together for her today. Cecil's chapter down at the Rail Ellis is a daughter of Cairo Prince. She was very impressive first time out, and she ran into some real tough fillies for the level last time. I would think with her pedigree, the switch to the dirt shouldn't be a problem for her today.
Absolutely. Cairo Prince, awesome again. Of course, fantastic horse on dirt is the Dam Sire. And that debut at a mile, and it's so tough to win at a mile first time out. And then last time out, not disgraced, 4th of 11 in that tough stakes at Kentucky Downs. Giroux rides the ground-saving rail. Cecile's chapter should be there from start to finish.
How about one more big price, at least on the morning line? And these odds will adjust a little bit with the scratches and the surface switch. But Blissful Change, the 8, is the daughter of Treasure Beach. What happened to her last time, and can we expect her to rebound off that performance?
Well, that's what I'm banking on. You know, I trust the trainer, Joe Sharp, bringing her back. That race was September 3rd, the Pocahontas. She didn't finish the race. Before that, on dirt, it was a race scheduled for turf and taken off just like this one. She won by 9 lengths. And that was a very good race. If you kind of consider the pattern from her sprint debut to that route, and then you just have to take a chance, ignore that. And she was 20-1 based on the fact it was on turf in the bad race. On dirt, I think she'd be lower anyway, but you're still going to get a price. So there's a chance if she rebounds back to that form, we could see a big effort.
Let's skip ahead to race number 7 on the program. Here's another one that's taken off the turf course, run on the main, allowance non-winners of 1 competing in here. Again, there are some scratches, but if we start towards the outside with the 10, Aunt Nadine, she runs off the claim today, and she's in really sharp form. It looks like she could continue that good roll.
Well, first of all, I'm looking at everything trainer Mike Baker saddles because he just got to 11 wins with Brad Cox yesterday. And this is a battle down to the wire. And if you don't think trainers care about winning a training title, you need to think again. The last 2 races were top efforts, beating 3/4 and a win. Certainly Saratoga shipping into Keeneland, tough fields. This horse just has all the tools. She likes to run well, and I think she'll do it again for Mike Baker.
Bragging rights with that Keeneland title, that is for sure. One man that is no stranger to the Keeneland winner circle is Wesley Ward. He has the 8 in here, Sequin, who's coming out of a race at Kentucky Downs last out. He also has the 1, Jade's Jelly. Do either of those horses have a chance?
What's interesting is I think they both do, and they both have run only on turf in their careers, but Ward's sticking them both in the race still. Bayern, certainly known for dirt. There's no question with the breedings, even though she's running well on turf. And except for 1 2-turn race, she's never been worse than 3rd. So Sequin's a very competitive filly.
How about all the way to the outside, Leah's Princess? Now, she has been on the main track once in her debut. It was a sloppy main track, different circumstances for her today. But I think since they took that little break with her midway through 2020, it looks like she continues to improve.
Yeah, and I really like it when a horse makes the lead in the stretch, even if they get tired. It shows that they're getting it. I mean, she broke her maiden in March, had a little layoff, as you mentioned, came back, got beaten in the neck, and then last time out, she battled head-and-head at Kentucky Downs, and that's tough. That up-and-down course takes a lot out of a horse, and to still be there near the wire and get a little tired, I think at this flat 5.5 furlong trip, she should run a lot better.
8th race on the program will be a little bit tricky today. Non-winners of 2 $40,000 claimers, 7 furlongs is the distance. That really can separate horses. It looks like Backshot is the horse to beat in there, Ellis, but is there a price that might upset?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a race where you take a favorite and try and find a long shot. And I hope I found one with the 2 Takafumi, who ran 2nd last time out on the all-weather at Arlington, has breeding for this, getting a lot better now, 3rd off a layoff, 6 and 2nd going the right way. So if you can't win, could be part of the exacta with the logical favorite Backshot, who was dropping into a claiming race for the very first time.
9th race on the program, allowance non-winners of 3 competition. Where do we even begin? And here again, one of those conditions that we don't get to see very often in other parts of the country.
Well, this is a pattern play for me. I'm looking for horses that run well at Keeneland. You never know why a horse all of a sudden perks up at Keeneland and likes it here. And the 8-horse Lessons from Avery has the best 2 races of her career at Keeneland. She won back in April of 2019, I should say again. And she won in October of 2018. She fired to win off a 3-month layoff in May. She rallied from 12th and last from way, way back. It's Shug McGahee, it's Julian Leperoux. I think Lessons for Avery is definitely worth a bet here, opening at 15-1.
5-2 on the morning line on Lady Lawyer for Chad Brown. Tyler Gaffleone, the meet's leading rider, aboard. You don't actually see Gaffleon for Chad Brown too often, right? But I love seeing them team up with this filly. She's a 4-time winner in 8 starts.
Yeah, Chad's been using Gaffleon in Kentucky, certainly with as hot as he is. I think they got like 28 wins together of 100 races the last year or so. Chad Brown's horses always get bet. He's having an okay meet at Keeneland, 5 wins in 6 seconds. The filly ran second in her debut, then won. Then she ran fourth in the stakes at Kentucky Downs. Not bad. Theoretically, on the drop back to allowance, she should run well. She doesn't have to win, but you can't leave her off your exacta tickets.
What about the filly just to her inside? Speedy Solution. She was 8th last time at Kentucky Downs. We know how challenging that course can be, and it looks like she had a little bit of trouble. But I think if you can look back in her form, she's pretty consistent to that point.
Well, certainly the last time she ran in allowance race, the second allowance level, she won one before that stakes race. She's back in allowance at the third level. She fits. She won at Keeneland in the July meet, which is really important again. And Gerardo Corrales was up then as now. So if you want to think that race is repeatable, I'm not going to argue with it.
Is there anybody in here that we're forgetting, Ellis? Anybody else we need to give a mention to?
I've been really on the fence with my gal Betty, but I am going to use her in an exacta box and trifecta as well. She's not as good, it looks like, as these two, but that last race at Churchill Downs was really interesting. I watched it. There was a Crackman's comment, the chart caller, and I watched it, and man, she was so blocked at a critical stage of the race. She showed big strides going from 7th to 3rd in the last 16th of a mile. I think she's going to be passing a lot of these. I'm going to use her at a decent price. She opens at 8-1.
Yeah, it looks like she took a step forward in her second start for Eddie Keneally, too. Sometimes do you find that a little more time in the barn, the trainer gets to know the horse, and maybe you see that pattern continue?
Yeah, that as well as you look at a horse and think about what trainer's doing. I mean, she was off from October of 2019 to August. So she must have had a little issue. She came back. She ran in a stakes race, so she's highly regarded in a sprint at Presque Isle Downs on the all-weather because she really is a turf and all-weather horse. And second time out, she got better. So it's second time out. Also, the trainer could have been his plan. She was a little rusty. He ran in a sprint. He stretched her out. Now it's third off the layoff, which is often a peak effort in a horse's form cycle.
All right, Ellis, as usual, thank you so much for your insight on this Friday program. I can't believe we only have 2 more days left of the Keeneland meet.
It comes and goes so fast, but the spring meet will be here before you know it.
Thank goodness for that. Ellis's picks brought to us by our friends at Buffalo Trace, and you can find more information on his Twitter page as well at Ubercapper. If you've been watching this program each and every day of the fall meet, we're sort of really honing in on those handicapping skills right now. Of course, you've heard from Ellis, but we've also gone to our betologists in a digital way this year. And as we promised you last week, we wanted to just take these lessons and be a little bit more sophisticated. So today, we're going to teach you how to understand the odds. You might be watching the odds if you're at the track, when that is safe. If you're watching those odds on the app, online, if you're betting, this is something you need to understand because you can sometimes take advantage of the odds to make a little bit more money depending on how you are playing. Let's go to Rachel for more.
Here's a math problem for you. If you hit a $5 win bet on a horse with 12-1 odds, how much would it pay? The answer? $65. In today's lesson, we're going to teach you how to calculate and beat the odds. If you're new to Betology, check out our previous videos to learn all about the basics of betting, how to read a program, and more. So, first of all, let's define odds. In horse racing, odds are fractional. They are shown as kind of a ratio, such as 5-1, which would be called short odds. Horses with low number odds are the favorites to win the race. Now let's say a horse has 30-1 odds. That would be known as long odds, and that horse would be called a long shot. These two numbers represent the return you can expect if the horse you bet on to win is successful. Essentially, if you won a bet with 5-1 odds, you will earn roughly $5 for every $1 you wagered. That's your return. Your total payout, however, is your return plus the amount you wagered. So, a $5 bet would return $25, plus the $5 you wagered, for a total payout of $30. A $10 bet would return $50 for a payout of $60, and so on. Another way to think about odds is to think about it as the probability that horse will win. For instance, let's take a horse with 8-to-1 odds. If that race was to run 8 times, statistically, that horse should win once. Odds are estimated every morning by an odds maker. Those numbers, called the morning line, are displayed in the race day program, but that's just an educated guess. Actual odds are determined by the public as more and more bets are placed, so odds will change constantly up until the race. You can keep up with real-time odds on the tote boards at the track or online through Keeneland Select. Also displayed on the tote boards is the payouts for any $2 win, place, and show bets for each horse. Exotic bets are much harder to calculate, but here's a trick. Open or download the Keeneland Race Day app and click on the Will Pays. You can see what those wagers are estimated to pay out. Now, the question is, how do you beat the odds? It all comes down to risk versus reward. A long shot bet is a high risk bet because you have a small chance to win, but the reward is also high because it comes with a huge payout. Many handicappers will pair the race favorite with a horse that has longer odds in exotic bets like exactas and trifectas. That way, you can play to the odds while still creating an opportunity for a big payout if the bet hits. Some bettors like to bet to break even, placing safer bets that will allow them to earn more money than they bet over the course of a day. Others like to have fun with it. Bet the long shot or a pick six. With this strategy, you may not win often, but when you do, you win big. Try this bet on for size. Place a 10-cent superfecta box. It'll only cost you $2.40, but depending on the odds, you could make thousands on your return. Give it a try on Keeneland Select, a mobile wagering platform that's free to join and easy to use. Sign up at KeenelandSelect.com. That's all for now. We'll see you next time on Lessons in Betology.
Rachel, thank you so much. As always, you can also access any of the Betology lessons online if you'd like to go back, take a look, review, study some more for your handicapping. Those are available. And also on the website, don't forget about that free digital program. That's at Keeneland.com/programs. That is going to wrap things up for today. But before we do, I want to let you know how you can watch, where you can watch these races, and of course, to thank our friends at UK HealthCare for their continued sponsorship of Keeneland at Home. So of course you can watch the Keeneland races online by TV, phone, or your computer. On television, you can head to TVG, to YouTube by phone, the Keeneland Race Day app, Keeneland Select, YouTube as well if you've got that smartphone handy, and then on your computer at Keeneland.com, also Keeneland Select, and on YouTube. And as we are getting into the last couple days of the meet, really wanted to take a moment to thank our friends at UK HealthCare once more. You know, Keeneland and UK HealthCare entered into a multi-year partnership in the fall of 2019, and this partnership is giving back in so many ways. I want to share a few of those with you right now. First of all, presenting sponsorship of the First Lady, a Grade 1 event each and every fall meet, the Keeneland Kids Club, and the Keeneland Run Walk program. As far as the First Lady goes, the second running of the First Lady presented by UK HealthCare added to the excitement over opening weekend. Fall Stars weekend was so exciting, and we're going to see so many of those horses back at the Breeders' Cup in a couple weeks. Two-time winner Uni won a spot to compete in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf in November. Now, if you'll remember, she was actually the winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile against the boys last year. So let's see if she can come back and get another Breeders' Cup victory on November the 7th. The Kids Club we told you about last week, as far as how the kids can have a great time at Keeneland and how they have been transitioning some of those activities to their homes, thanks to the Devers family for that one. The annual Kids Club breakfast with Buckles holiday party raised over $3,500 in donations to benefit UK HealthCare's Kentucky Children's Hospital. We have some great photos of Buckles, actually. He showed up at a few Children's Hospital activities, the cookie decorating. He made surprise visits to children of hospital workers early in the pandemic, just to cheer them up. We know so many of those kids didn't get a chance to see mom and dad as much as usual. So hopefully Buckles was able to bring a smile to their faces. UK Healthcare in Keeneland awarded one special family this fall with a Kids Club themed tailgate at home as well, in celebration of Kids Club Family Day. And then as far as the run walk, so this summer, Keeneland had to cancel the 2020 run walk, unfortunately, due to concerns surrounding COVID. But Keeneland and UK understood that this could impact some of those local organizations looking to raise money with their sponsorships. So through the partnership, Keeneland announced the inaugural Gatepost Gallop presented by UK Healthcare. This is a virtual run walk that donates $1 per mile logged to organizations whose run walk had been canceled this year. UKHC shared their weekly exercise tips just to kind of help you train and get ready. And every mile counted towards a $10,000 contribution on behalf of Keeneland and UK Healthcare, distributed between all of those local charities. As we mentioned, UK Healthcare ranked Kentucky's #1 hospital for the last 5 years in a row. You can see why. And their mission really aligns with Keeneland's to give back to the local community and to help those in need. So a big, big thank you to our presenting sponsors here at Keeneland at Home. That's going to wrap things up for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed Ellis's handicapping tips, Molly telling you about the College Scholarship Day, and of course, Nick Luck with his international racing tips for the Breeders' Cup coming up on November 6th and 7th. Before we head out, as per usual, one more set from the Burl, these Railbird sets coming to you by way of Eric Bolander today.